What up, y'all? Happy Sunday night. We're here for our energy oracle forecast for the week. I hope everybody is doing well. I had a bad night. I had frustrations and anger, and it got the better of me, and I didn't act really well. But yeah, I'm going to try to be more on top of that with myself. It's really important to be aware of your energy. And I, let mine slip a bit. Because our energy is contagious. And so we affect everyone around us. And the more powerful our energy is, the more we have to be responsible with it, because even a slight shift can make a big drastic difference to the way that other people feel. And so I'm usually so sprightly that even if I go into neutral, it makes people feel all of a sudden like, oh, is there something wrong? And I don't want to feel responsible for other people's energy completely, because that's enmeshment. But I do know that it is a responsibility for us to groom and maintain the energy that we bring into a room, into the spaces that we're in. But yeah, so I am probably not in my same sprightly energy as usual, but that's just, that's one of the reasons why. So I am just being honest. Our first card out is Expand. So I think we had this last week. This has definitely been an ongoing theme, but sometimes this card makes me think of the growing pains of expansion, and sometimes it feels like we're just being pulled apart and pulled in two separate directions, and sometimes it's just tearing our heart open, but sometimes our heart is broken open so that growth can come. As we expand, we push up against our growth edge, and usually our triggers and what's bugging us comes up to show us what still needs to be healed. And for me, there's scarcity mindset, there's anger. By being angry, that implies that I had a victim mentality, and so that was not, in a state of cause consciousness. That was an effect consciousness. It's not an affinity with the light. It lacks foresight or perspective, and it's self-centered, so selfish. And I mean, sometimes the anger is justified and it's righteous, but I should not project it onto other people. And that includes, being responsible with, when I make a sideways comment that maybe I'm just like being humorous. But remember, we had the comic a few weeks ago about like being careful as the comic, because the comic can spit daggers too. So yeah, just being careful and telling myself that I remember my friend Jennifer growing up, her mom used to say, Jennifer, sarcasm is the defense of weak people. It's true. So yeah, we're expanding, and we're expanding our conscious awareness of ourselves and others in our environment, and that expansion of consciousness. It only helps if we integrate it in how we behave and how we interact and treat others. So yeah, it's good to be open to feedback, but not be too hard on yourself either, because the opponent likes to trip us up with like the male opponent, the male adversary, the male Satan, likes to trip us up with the ego tricks that trigger our temptations, our grandiosity, our anger, power, lust, greed, all of those things, and even trigger our, sometimes we have a superiority complex, but we can also be triggered in the opposite way. So the female Satan comes in, and she gets all the points, because if she can get you down with shame, self-loathing, having an inferiority complex, then she's won, and she takes double the points. So it's always it's not all is lost with the trip up, with that initial trip up, but you can't get down on yourself, and you can't self-loathe. It's you can't go into despair or resign yourself. So worth thinking about. Expand. Let's see. We have, okay. So sacral chakra, this is where we hold that shame. And here we have the infected. So yeah, the subconscious patterning that's coming up right now these are the toxic things that are ruining our outer experience, and bringing toxicity and infecting the things around us. So as these things come up, it's important that we address them, that we look at them, and that we do whatever we can to heal those and transform those. But yeah, taking action on those and being conscious of what is infecting your energy, what is infecting your creation, what is infecting your the things that you're putting your hand to. And so we need to address those, but without holding the shame, but we're letting those things come up from the depths of our subconscious so that we can see them, to recognize them and reprogram them. And then divinity. So it's this is a divinely appointed message or lesson or situation or challenge that's playing out. So there's no reason to give up hope or resign yourself to despair, or feel like it's never going to change, or get angrier. It's just accept that this is the good lesson for right now, and this is what needs to be learned. And so right now it's divine is pointing to, okay, this is the vision forward. This is where the toxicity is. It's it's all being pointed out for us to work on. The bat is about transformation. It's also associated with the hangman, the death, rebirth, the pause and activity to change the perspective. So yeah, be open to shift and to change and to shift the perspective. And let's get one more card to finish off. This bunch came out. So, knowledge, empathy, beauty, God, and support. So whatever goes down this week that's going to expand your consciousness and expand your growth, it might trigger you. It's going to bring up the subconscious things that are still influencing you in a toxic fashion, that are infecting what you are trying to grow, what you're creating. Like we talk about, the seed level of our consciousness is in whatever we're creating. And so if we are taking action from a place of anger, it's gonna seep into all the other things that we're doing and seep out. It's going to be the flavor of the soup. It's like the mirepoix. It's what you start your flavor base with. So if you are doing something from a seed level of scarcity and you're trying to control, it's like that flavor is going to be within the essence of everything that you're making and creating in that moment. And so it's all gonna have that energy, and that's something that was coming up tonight. It was like I was reminded, and this happened to me years ago when I used to work in restaurants. My manager told me, and it was before I saw The Secret or anything, which I needed that reminder again, that, my energy is contagious. And if I come in a partying mood, everybody's in a great mood. And if I come in a bad mood, it affects everyone. It brings down the whole thing. And so, yeah, it was a good reminder. So now that we're aware, now that we're all of these things, and like my specific issues may not be the same as yours, but I'm using myself as an example. And if your issue comes up this week and it's different, maybe yours is guilt, maybe it's shame, but whatever it is, you're going to see those unconscious motivators and influences that you haven't been aware of that are kind of infecting your situation. It's going to be divinely pointed out to you. Now, what you do with this knowledge is very important, and it can be very productive. So, think of this whole thing as just spiritual support. Pause. What a pleasure. Why is this in my movie? What am I meant to learn from the situation? How is this presenting a growth opportunity? How is this presenting an opportunity for healing? So whatever is happening to you in any given moment is happening for you. And so when I'm slipping back into, it's all happening to me, I'm victimized, I don't feel supported, I'm not being supportive either of my environment, right? And so I need to accept this feedback, accept this unpleasant experience as feedback from the universe and from the people around me, but it's supportive, it's actually helping me. It's an opportunity to see my darkness, to see my weakness, to see my flaws, and to try to transcend and transform and transmute and heal that. And so thinking of it as support and not punishment. And then also instead, how can I be more sharing? How can I not think of the self alone, but restrict the body consciousness, and instead, no matter how tired you are, no matter how frustrated, it's like you're building the vessel. So it's like you're doing it for God. You're doing it for the light. You're doing it to build the vessel. You're not even doing it for you. And it's like that's the most powerful act of sharing at that point, when you are self-sacrificing and you're breaking the flesh as a sacrifice to the Almighty, a higher power. And then you will have all the support, the heavenly, divinely guided support that you need. So yes, now that we know, knowing is half the battle. So do something with that. Put that into practice. This hand is holding the earth, a globe. And so it's like taking this knowledge and putting that into a material, practical application. And then empathy. The answer to this, to shadow, when your shadow is acting out and it's triggered and it's rubbing up against other people's shadows, more empathy is needed. Sometimes we have too much empathy and we need to have stronger boundaries, but sometimes we are lacking empathy. And so perhaps there is an infecting situation where, so maybe, for instance, in your situation, you might be overly supportive and that's toxic as well, because you're overgiving. Maybe you're being under supportive, and that's creating selfishness. Maybe you're being overly empathic and that's creating toxicity. Maybe you're not being empathic enough. But I think you'll know and discern where you're at, and be willing to challenge yourself, even to see if you're really searching yourself. Because, when I'm on a kick and I'm focused on my reasons and why I'm justified, I'm not accepting that I was wrong, right? I'm fighting. I'm not being empathetic. But sometimes I make the mistake of being overly empathetic. And so it's always about doing a dance and finding that balance. But it takes rigorous honesty, because you can, avoid yourself all day and justify, But yeah, beauty is a rose that comes with a bloom and thorns. Things are difficult in this world, in this life. And some days they're beautiful and some days they're cruel. And so accepting the present and the day as it comes will help you see the beauty and the purpose in all things. And so God is in all things. The divine plan is at work, and God is supporting you. And all of this, there's a lot of beauty here. There's a lot of healing and positivity that can occur. But yeah, it doesn't always come without like that shadow side. It's not just black and white. There's so many layers of experience, and sometimes what we're going through is difficult, and we want to bypass the pause. What a pleasure. Why is this in my movie? Because when something's super shitty, it's not easy to stop in that moment and see the beauty in it, to see how God is working in that moment. Why is this in my movie? Why am I always being triggered? Or why do I always have these same patterns playing out? Like, why am I being triggered in the same way? Why do I feel like even when I try to communicate this where I'm coming from with people, it's like they're not hearing me. It's not connecting anyway. Like, why? Instead of being a victim, like, be curious. Okay, what a pleasure. This is an opportunity. Like, why is this my movie? Like, keep asking why. Dig deeper and ask divine to help you see why, to open your eyes to that different perspective. Okay, but yeah, do something with the knowledge, integrate it. And I need to make an apology tomorrow to someone, like a good one, and confess that I was wrong, to the people that I upset at work. And I forgive myself. And so should you. Not me, but you. Forgive yourself. All right, you guys. I hope you have a good week. I think that things are going to be good. But yeah, they may not be super straightforward and without challenge. And if we have challenges, just do your best to pause. Try not to wreck yourself. Try to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And if you do wreck yourself, then do your best to just make amends and apologize. All right, y'all. Well, I hope y'all have a good week, and we will be together again tomorrow for our anchor message, where we will go into more detail about what our spiritual lessons are going to be like this week. All right. Well, gee whiz. I hope that we make it all through. Helmets, seatbelts. Ciao.